Hey everybody, welcome back. So we have officially finished our first season. We've done 10 interviews, 10 episodes. This is the bonus features, the special, the editor's cut. We're going to do a little episode recapping the previous season, going through all the interviews and just what this has been like for us and how it started and where it's at now. One thing you probably can't miss if you're watching, we got little talking yourself off the ledge gear.
That was all Tim.
Yeah, well, shout out Bree at my job. She she was the manufacturer of these. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. I figured I'd give her a little wrap party present gift thing. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, we might not wear them every episode, but it's just kind of cool to have.
Yeah. I thought it was an outside of the box idea.
Yeah, a little gear.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess we could get started with. I mean, of course, like the first episode that we had was my story.
Yep.
And of course, I'm very critical of it because we didn't really have a format. Not that we've really had a format for any of these episodes.
Well, you were like let's just jump in and do it. Like, shut up, stop talking about it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's just get it done.
Which kicked it off. We might not be here because this is how the whole thing started. I mean, we talked about it. Like, I thought of a book years ago.
Yeah.
And then recently, in the past, 6 months or so, maybe like October-ish, November-ish, you were like, hey, we should do a podcast. And I'm like, all right, let's make that a 2020 goal. We just got married. We've got stuff going on. We got to find a tenant. Like, we just had a lot of things going on. We just got a puppy.
And then, of course, I'm like, if we don't do it right now, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And, yes.
I was like, let's make that a 2021 goal.
And we did.
Well, and right. And of course, it's like, hey, well, we accomplished it in 2021. Like, we did it in January.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, we did it in 2021. But it was that kind of thing. It's like, all right, if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. Let's just sit down, do it. And yeah, you just like, I think your honesty is what kind of encouraged a lot of people to like do it. And
I'm glad because it did. It was definitely a little bit nerve-wracking putting all that stuff out there.
You held over your finger over the pause button. We were about to go snowboarding the next day. And we had recorded it the day before, and we were going snowboarding the next day.
Already
it was late
edited.
at night, edited, all ready to go. And your like finger is on the button. And you're like, I don't know.
Probably
like,
for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, like this. Should I do it? Should I do it? And there was even people with us that were kind of like, well, maybe you can cut it up, and maybe you can do this, and maybe you can do that. And it was all good advice.
Yeah.
But you were just like, boom, I'm doing it.
And the thing was, because like the reason I kept reminding myself is like, as long as it helps one person, that's all that matters. So it wasn't really about me anymore. It was hopefully helping that whoever listens to it in whatever way. And
it did. I mean, there's people. Yeah. So, I mean, we could talk about that a little bit. I mean, instantly. So you did your episode and we'll talk about that. I did my episode a little and we already had people reach out to us. Like, that was the whole thing that you said in the beginning, as long as it helps at least one person, that's all that matters. And like, we actually had somebody reach out to us immediately that was like, hey, you're the first person I wanted to call. Like, I'm kind of in this place and I kind of wanted to call you first and I kind of need help. And like, and I saw your videos, it inspired me. And it's like, whoa,
yeah,
it actually like, it did something. Cause I'm thinking, oh, if some random person in Texas hears this and gets inspired. Like, that's just what I was anticipating, but it actually
was a close friend.
It makes more sense that it would be somebody in our circle, like somebody close to us, which was amazing. It was awesome. So yeah, we could talk about your story a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so the thing was that unfortunately and kind of cool, someone that I know did reach out to me, and she actually had a very similar story, kind of, about when I was 18 and getting raped, and the way that I explained it, as far as like me not actually wanting to call it that, being unsure, it was like the same situation for her. So that was, I don't even know what to say. It was I was glad that she reached out and we were able to talk a little bit about what happened And one of the things that I told her, because somebody else that, kind of that heard my story and even asked me, I was like, did you ever report it? Did anything happen with that? And I told him no, because like I explained in my story, I didn't really put the pieces together until like a couple of years afterwards. And by that point, I wasn't going to put myself in a position to go through all of that. And I just personally, I didn't want to do that. I was able to just kind of eventually work on it. And something that I told my friend, it was that I don't really owe anybody an explanation today. So because, she was kind of a little bit nervous about like talking about it. She hasn't really told her mom. It's kind of one of those things, like she would never tell her mom. So if whoever hears my story, it is what it is. It's my story, and that's it. Like I don't owe anybody an explanation.
No.
So yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty cool, and how crazy. Again, it's like someone that I know that's really close. I would never think would have gone through something similar. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was like the big concept of this is like people that you wouldn't know that have gone through things that are extraordinary and painful and horrible and amazing, and that's what like shapes us. Like we both have these wild stories, but it's like kind of everybody does, and like everybody that was on, they're just like everyday people that you see every day that are going through all these things, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't expect that person went through that. It's like, well, everybody goes through stuff.
Yeah, everybody has a story.
Yeah, yep, and everybody has a past, everybody has a future, and like it's about learning from your past, hearing other people's past to better shape your future a little bit. When I was in prison, I always said, like, you're not defined by the decisions of your past, but the decisions of your future. The decisions that you're going to make in the future. That's kind of what defines you, not what you've done in the past.
And so, I just want to say that one of the things that I was glad to hear was that she did reach out for therapy. So she is going to therapy and dealing with it that way. And I kind of wish that I did seek therapy earlier when that happened, because thankfully she never had issues with addiction or anything like that. So maybe, who knows, if I got help earlier, maybe I would have found different ways, healthier ways to cope with what had happened.
But that's a slippery slope.
Yes,
I mean,
we never know.
Right. You know.
And hey, we probably would have never met.
There you go. See? Right. And it's just like that. It's like you're not defined by your past.
Right.
Like, you can't say what could have or should have happened. And I know you're not saying I should have done that. My whole life would have been different. But it's, yeah, I mean, it's always okay to go back and, like they say, it's okay to go back and look. Just don't stare at your past. Mm-hmm. But yeah, one of the things that I want to talk about your episode real quick, we'll move on, is like right after your episode, to sit there with your wife and like hear her talk about her deepest, darkest experiences for like 2.5 hours is pretty big. Like that's pretty impactful. Like 3 months married.
Yeah.
Like we just gave each other a big hug, and I was like, even if nothing comes of this, like that was an amazing thing to do together. Like it was like, and I'm
glad you feel that way. Because I know it was long.
Yeah, it was long. My neck was getting a little sore, but no, just hearing all of it and sharing the experience together was like, everybody should do that.
Yeah.
It was therapeutic. Everybody should do it. It's just, it grows empathy for somebody.
I agree. And I feel like there are no secrets. Mm-hmm. I feel like I could just be, really, that's what I love about our relationship, is that no matter what it is, it's like I feel comfortable enough to talk to you about it. No matter how hurtful it could be, we can discuss it and work through it today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can move on to my episode. Yeah, I don't know. I had a lot in my episode, I feel like. I definitely tried to get through it like not really focus hard on one specific thing because it was like accumulation of all these things that is who I am.
And I mean, and I get you didn't really want to focus on all like the bad stuff because that's not really what it's about. It's
Right.
how you got through all of that and what you're doing today, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I made stupid decisions. I tried to fit in. I wanted to be cool. I made a fool of myself. You know, I got in trouble. Like it's funny. I told somebody the other day, it was one of those, hey, stay out of trouble. And it's like, I just won't get caught. And I'm like, yeah, I used to tell my mom that every day when I left. It was stay out of trouble, Timothy. And I'm like, I just won't get caught. And like, we're laughing. And I'm like, but then I got caught. And now I just stay out of trouble. Like that sums it up. Like stay out of trouble. I won't get caught. I got caught. Now I stay out of trouble. And I want to stay out of trouble. Like I have no desire.
It's nice to not have to keep looking over your shoulder, thinking it's like, that's what I love about my life today is that I'm not messing around doing shady stuff. I don't owe anybody anything. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have those worries. And I feel like that has allowed peace into my life today.
Yeah, it's a freedom. You get freedom in knowing you're like self-made. Like I've made these choices. I've responsibly made decisions to get me, like nobody gave this to me. Nobody gave us the things that we have, and the things are, you know, whatever, but like nobody gave us the life that we have. Like we worked for it. We built it. We struggled and we got where we are. And that's how it's going to be in the future too. Like nobody's just going to hand things to anybody. Nobody's going to hand things to anybody. You got to work for it. Like you want to get in shape. I've been going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, and guess what? I got in shape. Like, funny how that happens. Like you want to get in shape, don't eat ice cream 4 nights a week. And I don't, and I got in shape. Like who knew? Yeah. Who knew? And it's the same thing. Like you want to not go back to prison. Don't do illegal shit. Funny how that happened. It's just, you know.
It's not like you're not lucky. You know,
there's no
the
magic.
The world is against you. It's like, just don't do the wrong thing.
And it sounds so easy. It's the most difficult, easiest concept in the world.
And the thing is, like, I guess in certain situations, like it could be part of your surroundings, and it might be tough to separate yourself from what you know, but you should. Once you get tired enough that you want to make a change in your life, that's when change could happen.
Comes with discipline and hard work.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So we can go on. Tom and Diana.
Yeah.
I know their story very well. Yeah. I mean, well, one thing that I know, you know, Diana reached out to you, and they've been probably the biggest cheerleaders for us. We actually talked about that in one of the episodes, is like a cheerleader versus a coach. Like you need both of them. Diana's definitely the cheerleader. Tom is definitely the coach, but they're both like cheerleaders in their own way, like for sure. And they've been cheering us on for this, like from the beginning. And, you know, I'm glad they shared their story, and they've been like using it to encourage other people too, like sending these, you know, our podcast videos out to people to encourage. And it has been, and she shared a little something with you.
Yep. So I think right after the first or second, because I know they had two different episodes. I forget which one it was, but I think it was probably the first one. I was on the phone with her, and she told me, you know, it was just really good news that her friend that she hadn't spoken to in a while reached out to her. And, you know, they were talking, and so she shared the link to their episode, and it automatically helped her so much, because unfortunately she is dealing with troubles with her son that had been clean for 15 years, relapsed, and is now, you know, struggling to kind of get back on track. And
that's the most dangerous thing too.
Yes.
Somebody with a lot of clean time that goes back out, it's a dangerous thing, because the ego of like, your pride and like, I had it and now I don't. And I'm starting at ground one, like first
and probably
floor.
the guilt and shame.
Oh, all of that. And then on top
back.
of like, it's super dangerous too, because like you could
Depending
just
on what you're doing.
OD and die.
Yeah.
You have if you're doing like opiates, especially like you have a zero tolerance. That's when most people OD and die, is because they got 7, 8 years, or 3 years or whatever. They have some clean time. They go out and do a tiny bit and they're dead, because they go back and think, oh, I was doing 4, I can do 3, and forget it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but it was nice to hear that it was already helping someone and kind of giving them that little, I guess, hope that it can get better. It's going to be tough and you have to set boundaries, but if with the right help, the person can get back into recovery and, straighten their life back.
Yeah. And I think that's important too. It's like, this isn't just for people that are going through the struggles. It's also for people that love people that are going through the struggles. Like, they suffer too. As Tom and Diana's story, that they're people that had to go to like Al-Anon meetings, 12-step program for parents of addicts and alcoholics. So like, they suffer a lot, and there's a lot of healing that needs to happen there, and forgiveness that needs to happen there, whether it's forgiving the loved one and forgiving themselves for, maybe thinking they're enabling and detaching a little bit. It's tough. It's tough
because you want to help, but you just sometimes you need to set boundaries, and
there's a thin line between helping and enabling.
Yeah.
It's
tough to know.
Yeah. It's impossible to know, really. Like, what I almost feel like I was thinking the other day, and it's a little not relevant, but it goes along that line. It's almost like, and I don't want to get into politics here at all, but like when it comes to government stuff, it's like, what line is helping people and what line is enabling people? When it comes to certain things like stimulus, it just gets me thinking, like the stimulus money and unemployment things. And it's like, my job, they've been trying to find an employee for over a month and can't. Nobody's even inquiring. So it just makes me think, it's like, at what point is help enabling? In anything. And it's just one of the areas, but it's a tough line, because if you love somebody and you want to help them, or that they're struggling and you want to put things in place to help somebody get back to where they need to be, that person needs help. Like, I needed help. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for certain people helping me.
But that I love the way that your mom was able to help you. So when you first wanted to get clean, you asked if you could go stay with them down south. We figured that was like the best thing, like relocate.
Two drug addicts making a master plan on how to get clean.
We wanted to get clean, but
had the willingness.
So you asked your mom, it's like, hey, like, can I stay with you? Detox there, blah, blah, blah. And she thought about it, and she said, I can't do that to myself. Yep. I can't put myself in that.
I can't do that.
Exactly.
I can't do that.
I can try to help you in a different way.
Right.
So she did her research and was able to find a detox.
I got you insurance. Health insurance, right? I had no health insurance. I had been in this city for years and had no idea where there was a detox center or anything.
So she got you insurance, got you into the detox, brought you there, made sure you got there. And that was how she was able to help you. And it did, because even though it didn't work that first time, I knew where to go about it. Exactly.
Then I had insurance. I knew where to go. I knew the people to talk to. Like, it got me. It
opened the door.
It got that kickstart. Right. I knew it opened the door. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So there's ways.
No, that's a perfect example. It's just with setting boundaries. Yep. I can't do that, but I can do this, because if I do that, I can get hurt, and I can't allow that to happen because I've been hurt so many times.
And that is the thing that people should remember. Even though you want to help and you still have to put yourself first. Make sure that you're not putting yourself in a negative situation that can endanger yourself, or you could get hurt, or you could be used. You have to think about yourself first, and then be able to help somebody else. And that's kind of why, even in planes, like, you have to put the air mask on first, and then help the next person.
Yep. It's a perfect analogy for it. Perfect example.
Yep. All right, so
What's
let's
next?
move into Griffins Story.
Know his story very well. I was
Yeah.
super pumped that he wanted to come on, and that he was one of the first people we thought of to have on.
Yeah.
His story and my story were so similar. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Different,
I mean, his
but similar.
family stuff was a lot different.
Right. But we ended up in the same exact, it's funny.
It's how you guys met.
Yeah. Started in, we had both similar, but very different family dynamics, but ended up same drug, same charge, same prison, same cell.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
And I mean, so obviously you met, you've known Griffin for a while. And since I met him, the growth that he has done it's incredible. I mean, even from from the beginning when you got in contact with him, I was actually even a little bit nervous, because
hey, my buddy from prison's over at our apartment.
Yeah, it's are you sure? Everything's because you did have another friend that ended up going back to prison. So it was just kind of be careful, So thankfully he was ready to be on the right track. And I feel I'm glad we were able to help him in a way because we were doing well. We weren't using, we were staying away from all of that stuff. So, and then of course, we had just bought our house. Yeah, we had just bought our house too.
Well, not long after.
Now, yes. So it was kind of, I guess it showed what's possible, right? And I mean, especially because you guys were in the same place.
We knew each other so well and knew we knew the potential we each had. So I got out a lot sooner and I did fall on my face a few times, but by the time he got out, we were doing okay. I mean, we still had our stuff, but we were working on it. Yeah. We were trying to build our relationship and get better and grow healthier. Yeah. And we both had good jobs. We were both responsible and stopped using and we're saving money. And it was all those things for him to get out and be a part of, our relationship a little bit and see us and be yeah, and we spent a lot of time in the beginning there with him and we all kind of hung out and he's going through something. We'd call, we're coming to pick you up. Yeah. Come on. Let's go hang out. Let's go do this.
I know he did mention that night. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know what it was, but I was I knew it. And I told you, I was call him back.
Right. I'm on the phone with him and he's talking and whatever. You can tell he's going through something. I hung up and you're call him back. So he's going through something. Something's wrong. Call him back. And sure enough, I call him back and he was, and we're all right, we're coming to pick you up.
Yeah. And we went to watch fireworks.
Yeah.
I think that was the night, right?
I think that was it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, and where he's at now, it's awesome. It's awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, and his girlfriend, they're looking for a house, and I'm sure they'll hopefully start a family soon.
And he's even now, he was almost I don't want to stick it out like that. It's not that serious, but he was the disruptor in the family. That there was already some things going on for sure, but he was almost he wasn't helping to bring the family together.
Right.
He was almost helping to break it apart. Now what he's doing is literally helping to show his family it's okay to communicate. Mm-hmm. It's okay to talk. We have to talk to get better. We have to he's bringing his family closer to now together. With the growth that he's done. It's awesome. It's so cool to see.
It really is.
It is. Shout out Griffin.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Caitlin's story. That was really cool. It was definitely different. It was the first one we did over the phone, which went well. It was still, luckily the equipment we have, which you were big on pushing to get, helped us to be able to do that. Cause she did kind of wanted to stay anonymous a little bit cause she's still going through it. So, she's
still in a healing process.
Yeah. She's not going through the trauma, but she's still it's still a day to day for her. And she's still healing and there's still some fear there from the childhood things and doesn't really want,
Yeah, that's why she wanted to stay anonymous, right. Be in fear that her mother could possibly find out of, her telling her story pretty much.
Yeah. But and I know we were talking about it before, we started recording here. We've been listening a lot to David Goggins. And if you look him up, obviously he has he's extreme to the max. Yeah. But it's the kind of extreme, like we talk about, oh, you need a cheerleader and you need a coach. He is the coach's coach. Like he's the guy screaming at you at 3 a.m. that you are soft and you need to get out of bed in the freezing cold and go run 30 miles. Like that's him. And everybody needs that every once in a while, not all the time. And like, you know, he's done all these extreme things. And he even says like, look, I've done some really stupid extreme things, you know, like he's accomplished a lot. But anyways, her childhood story is very similar to like how his was. It was like white picket fence. Everything looks great. You know, we're putting on this image that there's no issues. Everything's great in this house, but inside it's like World War III a little bit. Like there's tension. You can cut it with a knife. Like people are getting hurt, like things are happening, but no one can know.
Right. Just keeping up with the image.
Right.
And
you notice that's been a theme for a lot of these episodes. It really has.
Like, I mean, now that, you know, we're kind of running down through like all the episodes, it's like a lot of the episodes, yeah, they have this like image that they needed to, not even needed, but like almost were forced to kind of keep. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think it's like
hiding the trauma and the issues and pushing it deep down. Nobody can see it. Nobody can know because everything has to look good on the outside.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit what this podcast is. It's like, no, everybody has things and it's okay. And you, as long as you communicate, you're open, you're honest, like it's going to be okay.
And because like, if you don't talk about it, there's no way you could start working on it to make it better because it's just not like realistic. Exactly.
You're keeping it in this place of denial where it's like, no, it wasn't that bad. We don't need to talk about it. Like,
yeah. So I'm glad that she actually shared her story because she even said like afterwards she did feel a little like a lift over her shoulders, and it is liberating a little bit to just kind of let it out.
Definitely.
And talk about it.
Yep. I mean, I said that about your episode. It was like that was therapeutic.
Yeah.
And everybody that did an episode, it's funny. I mean, yes, everybody said they're like, whoa, like that was, but every single person that did an episode thought they sucked. Thought they sucked. And then they listened back and they're like, that was not bad.
Yeah.
That was not bad. And it's like, it's just because it's like, yeah, it's
except
your crap.
Mine. I'm just
no. Because it's like, it's your crap and you get like, oh, nobody can know and it's bad. But then you like let it out and you hear it and it's like, well, that wasn't bad. Like that needed to come out. That's important to say.
Yeah.
So it was good. You know, it was.
I think everybody did great.
I agree.
I'm like the number one fan of this podcast.
You listen to every episode like 10 times.
I do. I mean, I think that this is like I created the perfect podcast for me.
Well, that's how a lot of things happen. That's how a lot of like artists and things, it's like, I just do what I like. And it just so happens a lot of people like it too.
Yeah.
But I just do what I like. People say that all the time. A lot of like artists, whether it's paint, director of movies or whatever it is, like they say that I do what I like.
Yeah. I mean, even sometimes I'm at work, I'm like, oh man, even though like I have to edit a new episode and I'm like, oh, I want to listen to it already.
Can't I just edit it now so I can listen to it?
Yeah.
Oh, next is Cynthia's story. This was like
goodness.
A slap in the face of like, wow.
Yeah.
That was huge.
I did not know the extent of all of that. And well, I mean, we said it multiple times, like it is a miracle that we were even sitting in the same room with her. I mean, I've always loved her. I mean, we've always had this like connection and like we vibe really well. And I mean, she even said it's like we could not even talk for like a couple of years. I mean, she moved down to another state for like years. So we definitely lost contact, but every time we would like talk on the phone or like meet up or something, like it was just like we were right back to it. So I love our relationship because like, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just that we just click. We just click really well. Like
she's got
there's
that type
trust.
Of personality too. Like she has that like easy to talk to, easy to communicate with. Like she's just open and kind of like lovable and like she doesn't seem very judgy. No. She speaks her mind enough, but not like in a rude way. It's like
not at all.
It's interesting. Like she'll speak her mind, but you're like, yeah, okay, like that makes sense. Yeah. And it's like one thing that you guys don't see or hear is like the technical difficulties that we have, and we've had them. Oh, we've had them. Poor Griffin did his episode like 3 times until we finally got everything. But something with Cynthia's episode that was wild is like we literally got to the most intense emotional spot, like the peak of that episode, and realized we ran out of space on the phone.
Yeah.
And none of it stopped recording, and we had none of it.
Oh my God.
So literally we had to like reset and do it again. And we did, and it was just as good. And it was like, like hearing it even again, it was just,
I know,
it's wild. Yeah, it was, and that was the first time we really touched on like mental health.
And she wanted to talk about that because, like for the most part of the episodes before, like, we had talked about addiction a lot, and we don't want this podcast to just be addiction. We want it to be like any issues.
Overcoming obstacles.
Exactly. Whatever they may be. Right. And mental health, it is a big one. Yeah. A lot of people are dealing with that.
That's the biggest push swept under the rug that there is.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that's more. I mean, now it's starting to become more.
But even now, like with it, you hear a lot more about it, but I feel like there's still not enough understanding it. Because, I mean, I'll even say, like, I don't fully grasp, like, all of it. And yeah, so we did get a lot of good feedback from Cynthia's episode. So that was really cool.
Yeah. So next we have Michelle's story.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. So we have actually some questions for her, that, we got for her. And I mean, look, we really enjoyed talking with her because we knew about what happened, but we didn't know the full extent. Story. Not at all.
And just like some of these other ones, this was a first, like it was a first story about, somebody. I mean, there was Tom's story there where there was definitely cancer involved there too, but this was like somebody's journey strictly about a medical issue that somebody just mentioned the other day, which was interesting. It's like, if you have a problem that can be fixed with time or money, you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
You can solve it. You have to find a solution. It's just going to take time or money. No big deal. But something like this, like a medical, cancer thrust upon you, time or money can't save you. So
and
it's
not
really,
I mean, time and money, yes, but like it's not guaranteed.
Right. No, it's not like we can fix our roof. It's just going to take money.
Right.
Yeah. Something like that.
And there's like many effects that will happen afterwards, because of chemo, radiation, all that stuff. I mean, like she even talked about her arm, like it's something that she might have to deal with for the rest of her life. And it's things like that you would never think about because it's like, oh, cancer, like a lot of people get it. It's unfortunate. But it seems to be so common that we forget all these other things that people have to deal with.
So we have a few questions here. So the first one is, what is something you wish someone told you when you first found out you had cancer? So she says, I had such great support and advice that I feel like I was prepared. Women told me how to prepare for surgery, what to expect in recovery, and what to bring to chemo room. Those things really helped me tolerate it. I wish someone would have told me I would gain so much weight. I had no idea I'd gain 25 pounds and never be able to take it off. The second question is, how would you help women with cancer who are single mothers and don't have the support you had?
Yeah, she did mention that, in her story.
Yep. She says, I would help a single mother by going to the store to get her groceries, helping with laundry, dishes, and cooking for the kids. The kids are the most neglected, even in 2-parent homes. The kids need to get out of the house and play and see their friends. They need help with homework. Let single moms know they may qualify for temporary disability if they can't work. Opening a GoFundMe account is a good way to help with expenses like electric bills, etc. I happen to have a great insurance, but still it costs of $6,000 out of pocket every year. For most people, it's more. And then she also does say she's very happy to speak with anybody directly if they have questions. So you can always message us or, we can direct that. So, yeah, I think that was good. That was, it's a good, just like all these are. I mean, there's good awareness, good, way to give more, empathy to somebody that's going through that, because there's plenty of people that can just throw a Band-Aid over it, no big deal. Or, it's almost that close to that mentality, but it just opens up, your eyes more to be like, no, there's more to it. You know, it's not what you think it is. There's so much awareness, and that's great, but you're almost desensitized to how serious it can be, and it is, just because you hear about it so much, and people don't take it as seriously as they should. And
I'm glad you mentioned like those like little things that you don't really think about. It's like, you know, you still have to eat, you know, dinner still has to be made, laundry still needs to get done, like things need to get done, and it's like you don't have the energy for it because you're sick. And so having someone there to help do that, facilitate it, is a great way. And
that's something you don't think about that she talks about, is like the children of parents going through this. It's like she said, they're the ones that need the most help. Because, I mean, not to, obviously there's the psychological of like, okay, why is this happening to mom or dad? Like what's going, you know, what, I mean, obviously, luckily her son is like so understanding and caring and loving and helpful, but it's like, should a 12-year-old be a caretaker?
Right.
No, they should be out playing with their friends, getting in a little bit of trouble, staying out a little too late. Like that's just growing up. And a lot of these kids are like thrust into this, like, gotta take care, gotta be this and gotta do this. And it's like, you know, where's the next meal going to come from? Who's going to make it? You know, who's going to the grocery store? It's important stuff that you just, you know, don't think about, but you hear something like this and it's like, yeah, that's a normal day for somebody. And it just helps that. How can somebody do something to help? Yeah. Just talking about
it's
it
good
is helping.
Stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, next is Crystal's story. Yeah,
I know that one really pumped me
up.
The
mentor queen.
My goodness, she has, and again, I did not know all of that. I mean, she really has. But I think it was like really repetition, right? It's like making good habits. It's like she kept doing it, and I feel like she kind of kept going up and up and up. It's, I was very inspired by like her story.
She had a plan of success and just continued with it, you know, all the way from like grade school to working for Google. Like her plan of success was like, I'm interested in this. I'm going to ask questions, find somebody that knows how to do what I'm interested in and follow them around and ask them questions and be interested.
Yeah. One of the things that really inspired me about her story was, I loved when she said that she does things that make her uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I mean, a lot of people don't want to do that because who wants to do anything that makes you uncomfortable? But that's what's going to help you grow, learn new things. Like it gives you opportunities, really.
Be comfortable becoming uncomfortable. That's the saying.
And again, we talked about David Goggins.
I know.
It really just, and that's what it is. He talks about, it's like all in your mind. It's getting through that, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and not letting that doubt drive you.
I mean, you just did this. This was a small little kind of test that you did of your own. Like you hadn't run a certain distance in over like years.
Oh, that's right.
And you like mentally just pushed yourself through it. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I finished. So I finished listening in the audiobook, which is really, really good. I recommend it. Yeah. It's the Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So one of the things that he talks about is not listening to the weak voice that tells you that you've done enough, that you have to stop, that you can't go, you can't keep going. So I was at the gym the other day and I have not ran for more than 1.5 miles in over 3 years. So I was like, I'm going to run. And so once I got to 1.5 miles, I was pretty tired. I was like, I wanted to stop.
Because your body is used to that being the limit.
It's like, this is enough.
This is it. Yep.
And I just kept pushing and I kept pushing and I'm like, all right, let's get to 3 miles. And you know what actually did help? While I was running, there was a girl next to me and she was running. So it felt like we were running together. So that kind of kept me going because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to stop. We're going. I'm not going to stop before she does. So unfortunately, she stopped once I got to like mile 4. And so then I was just like, oh, I really needed to like push myself. So I ran 4.5 miles and walked the rest of the half mile to make it 5 in 49 minutes and 21 seconds.
It's really good. And that's with a half a mile of walking.
Yeah, I was talking about that with Nick because, you know, he was saying, we were talking about that. And I'm like, yeah, if I wouldn't have walked that half mile, it would have been a pretty decent time
10-minute miles, probably 9-minute miles.
Yeah, I think my pace was like 9.13 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it really gave me, it felt really good because it's like, yeah, like if you push through it, you can definitely do it.
And this dude runs like 120 miles.
Right. And he says, it's like, you don't have to like do what he does, but just know that you are capable of so much more.
He has a 40% rule. Like he believes that most people are at 40% of their potential.
Yeah.
Of their potential that you're comfortable stopping at 40%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I really love that. Of course, I was sore the next day and then I just ran like 2 miles the next. But, you know, it's something that actually I liked was now I'm not going to allow myself to just run 1.5 miles. I'm going to run 2 miles.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, you said that. You're like, well, the next day I just ran 2. Well, that's still more than 1.5.
Yeah.
So like you created a new benchmark.
And that's another thing that he says. It's like whatever you feel comfortable with, just do it. Just do a little bit more.
Right.
Just do a little bit more and a little bit more. And then that's when you start creating these different habits and you start, you know, building up
yeah, like that threshold, like that peak, like that limit.
You're setting up the bar a little bit higher and a little higher.
Right,
yes.
right. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, of course
that's super similar to what Crystal does and is still doing and has done.
Yeah, and she has, it's not just her job. She's really branched out to all these different things. And one of the things I had to tell her, I'm like, thank you for actually going on the podcast because Crystal is a very private person. So just the fact that she was able to, I mean, actually willing to share her story was a big deal. And I'm really thankful for that because, I mean, it's really a good story to tell, especially for young girls.
Yeah, it's super motivational. I mean, I got so much motivation out of that just to like, all right, like I got to meet some people that can make me better.
Yeah.
And that we can bounce ideas off of and just grow and like, it was definitely inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next we have Doug, episode 10.
I loved hearing Doug's story.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You've told me a lot about him.
Right, you've heard all about him and then, you know, you met him the day of the podcast.
Yep, and I mean, I can see why you like him so much. He's a likable guy.
Yeah.
And he was very honest with his story. And man, like right off the rip, like he helped me out because since listening to his story, I have picked up my meetings. I have wrote on my step work, which I really needed to do. So it just kind of made me check my own situation. You know, it's like what I'm lacking, what I'm like, I should kind of do a little bit more. Really, all of these stories have made me a little bit more aware on like where I'm lacking, what I could do better, where I could be more empathetic or helpful or understanding. And so I mean, thank God for Doug's story because it did help me out because and it was things that I didn't actually realize I was lacking on, if that makes sense. You know, it really made me look at my own stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Like I put up a little clip like back weeks ago. I think it was after Michelle's story. And it's like, yeah, I'm getting so much motivation from these episodes. And Doug's was really cool because he does like, he's a father of 3. He's got twins. He has his own business. Like he helps people in his 12-step groups that he goes to. Like he's been helped and now he's helping a bunch of other, you know, men growing and where he was. And like, he's almost like the whole Griffin thing, how we were that example. Like he's also that next level kind of like example of like, this is how it can be. Yeah. You know, if you want to live this life, like this is what's possible. Right. Yep. Yeah. It's also, our stories are so similar. Like just hearing all the stuff from back in the day and just, I related to all of that. Like we would have been, if we knew each other at the same time, like we would have been running together and doing all the same stuff. Like we would have been right there, like side by side doing all that. So,
and even though he was doing that all very young, he also found recovery very young, and he stuck with it. And what I loved most about was that his brother was able to find recovery too.
Yeah. And
that is just amazing in itself.
So
like, I'm sure like their parents are just blown away. I mean, I'm sure they're grateful for the fact that they have both their sons.
Yeah.
And of course, his sister, she never really had a problem. And actually, I mean, they're lucky with her too, because she had cancer.
Right.
So
they got 3 miracles.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's just crazy.
I mean, you're right. We always talk about how we are like that exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Like
the fact
2
that we
drug addicts that were dating, that got clean, used together, that got clean together, and like are still clean and have
and
grown,
still like each other, and still want to be together.
Most days.
Yeah, there's more good than the bad, but we still work on. It's
I still annoy you a little bit.
It's gonna happen, right?
It's gonna happen.
As long as I don't want anybody else annoying me, that's what it's all about.
That's right,
man. But there are some days.
But yeah, I mean that's another exception to the rule there. Like, not a statistic. Like 2 siblings that both were doing hard drugs, doing them together, that both got clean.
And something that he did say, which it basically relates to why we were able to work also, was when he was getting clean, he knew that he had to keep his distance from his brother, especially because he knew that his brother was he wasn't doing too well. So if he knew that if he, kind of started back up, it would ultimately have him using again. And that happened with us. Like, we both had to be in a place where we wanted to find recovery, stop using drugs, get healthy, have a new life. And once we found that, that's when we were able to come together and then work on our relationship, and
we were both really open to that. Like, I feel like a little bit was, the drug, the addict in you kind of pulls a little bit, like, but we were both really open to like, okay, we need to be healthy ourselves individually. Like, we can't be anything together if we're not healthy by ourselves.
Yeah.
We
and it wasn't
it wasn't easy, but we both like grasped that. We both like knew that.
Yeah.
I think.
No, we did, but it did take me a little bit longer than you did. So when I wasn't doing really well, I did not like the fact that you wanted to keep your distance from me. And not because I wanted to be a bad influence in you, but I almost felt like, I don't know, just kind of left in the dust and not able to get it. And not that I didn't want to, I wanted to be healthy, but I was just struggling. I was really struggling, and I wasn't in a sober house. I had my own apartment. I was just kind of on my own and just going to meetings, but still not getting a really good connection,
support
network
system that I kind of had. Like, I had a program and like sober house and like these rules and guys and people that I was going to meetings with. Like, I had the structure.
Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't have really any of that.
No.
Yeah.
So that was definitely tough, but it really was when we both accepted the fact that we needed to work on ourselves. That's when it all worked out.
Yeah. Actually, in Doug's story, it makes me think about mine even more because, like, I mean, I know it's kind of his stuff and I haven't talked about it on here yet, but I don't think he would mind, is my brother. Like, I have a brother that we were very similar. Like, we weren't like running partners like that, like every day, like, all right, me and you, like, we're going to go out and, do something and find something or whatever. But we were both making bad decisions. Me and him were both making bad decisions at the same time. And either one of us could have ended up dead.
Yeah.
Either one of us probably should have, based off statistics and what we were doing, either one of us probably should have. And the fact that we're both good and clean and healthy today is like, it's another miracle.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
So
what our plan is now moving forward is we wrapped this season. we're going to take a little time off.
Yeah.
Try and get a little of our sanity back. No, we enjoyed it. We loved this.
Yes, but then we were also trying. I can never just not do anything. Of course, I need a million things to do. So while we're doing the episodes, I'm also like building a closet, and we're
planning a trip.
We
have a puppy.
Yes.
We both work full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And then just a ton of other things that it's just nonstop.
Right.
And we also recorded and edited and put out an episode every week. So over the next couple months, we haven't put a timetable on anything, but over the next couple months, we're going to be recording episodes, give ourselves a little buffer, do it kind of the right way. Record some episodes, edit some episodes so that way for the next season, you know, we can kind of drop. We're going to continue on, start the next season.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same kind of idea here, you know, talking yourself off the ledge, any obstacles that somebody's overcome and where they are now, and sharing their experiences.
Yeah. And I just want to say, for the listener, thank you so much for the support. And I mean, we've gotten so many good feedback, like just from a lot of people. And it's really awesome to get that support, you know? It's not just, I mean, it really makes it when people are actually saying like, hey, you're helping me in this, like that is amazing. But yeah, like just listening, following, subscribing. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for the support. And yeah, we hope that we can keep this going, and
we'll have more t-shirts in the next season. Maybe every guest will get one or something.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right, cool. So we will see you guys for season 2.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.